And we're back. So our investigators tonight have all recently received word that they have won a sweepstakes that they entered in the back of a travel magazine and have received the following letter. Greetings, Sweepstakes winners. I would like to personally congratulate every one of you on being selected from thousands of mail-in entries across the nation to win a trip to the much-anticipated grand opening celebration of the newly constructed Palmlico Seaside Resort, located on scenic and historic Ocracoke Island, nestled in the Outer Banks of North Carolina. The festivities commence at 3 p.m. sharp on Sunday, June 21st, 1925. You must make your own way to Cedar Island as stipulated in the sweepstakes rules, but from that point on, all your wants, needs, and desires will be provided for. To accommodate our guests' different departure, locations, and times, I have personally made arrangements for extra ferry services aboard the luxury cruiser Altea to run between Ocracoke Harbor and Cedar Island Pier the entire week prior to the celebration. Please be sure to arrive at the pier no later than 6 p.m. on June 19th if you wish to make landfall on Ocracoke in time for the festivities. Despite my generous offers, I simply could not convince the ferry captain to work weekends. Cordially yours, Owen W. Gaskill, owner and operator, Palmlico Seaside Resort. We join our investigators standing on the pier with the ferry Altea closing on the dock in the distance, but not quite here yet. Adeline Vandergelt arrived first to make sure that some of her own personal effects that all could not fit on the boat at the same time were safely transferred to the island. And why don't you go ahead and describe yourself?
Why, yes, Miss Adeline Vandergelt of the Carolina Vandergelts. I'm sure you've heard of her family and their fabulous mansion on the west side of the state. She is standing next to trunks and trunks because you know you have to have your daytime gowns, your evening wear, your beach clothes, in addition to multiple personal effects. But also, beside the pier, carefully being unloaded and overseen, is her very expensive, very new Pierce Arrow car,
which she
had especially brought to the island.
And then standing next to her, we have Gertie Collins.
Right beside someone who looks so wonderful is a little Gertie Collins, who is sort of in like a hand-me-down suit with a pin skirt, and her hair is sort of like disheveled, and a small little hat that is sort of knocked over with a little string of fake pearls. And she's just like looking at this fancy lady, and she's just like straightening herself up and pushes up her glasses at the end.
With the ferry coming ever closer to the docks, Alistair Truscott starts making his way from the boathouse down to the end of the pier.
You see this about 5'8", very, very squarely appearance, large blue eyes behind these small gold-rimmed glasses. You see the hint of buck teeth coming out just from thin lips and large ears and a sharp nose. He has brown hair shaved short on the sides and left wavy on top, and he's wearing a light blue vest with a little bit of a red pinstripe up it with a red tie and a gray overcoat, and he's hurrying towards the dock, taking out a handkerchief and just dotting his head, and he's like closing his books and just wrapping them up and putting in a little handy bag there.
Fabulous. And then sitting on a bench on the pier in no manner of hurry of any kind, we have Ella Sawyer.
Ella is she's about 5'7". She has very fair skin, long wavy red hair. She was wearing bright red lipstick, and she's wearing a slightly revealing dress at the moment, but she looks a little bit uncomfortable. And over top of it, she's wearing an open trench coat that she's sort of periodically she tugs at it to close it a little bit. She has a handbag slung over her shoulder, and in the other hand she has just a black duffel bag that is nondescript. It looks like she hasn't brought much with her. She's puffing on a cigarette at the moment, and she adjusts the glasses that are sitting on her nose. And she's kind of just staring back and forth between Gertie and Adeline. And she looks over at Gertie, like as soon as she catches her eye, she goes, you got something on your teeth there?
Oh shoot. Just starts rubbing away at it.
I think you got it. By the way, your hair looks very nice today. You shouldn't fuss with it too much.
Hey, thanks.
She just blows a long puff of smoke into the air. And she is pretty quiet, really reserved at the moment.
And then you can hear the rumble of the diesel engine much closer now as the ferry is approaching the dock. Waiting a moment, a thump and a slight vibration as the boat makes contact with the pier. And a man runs off of it holding a rope and ties the boat off to one of the cleats on the edge of the dock. You see Chester Caldwell.
Straightens up and looks over the crowd. Hello, everyone. Chester Caldwell. Nice to meet you. He's got short blonde hair, kind of slicked over to one side. It's fairly tall, very thin. Keeps himself in shape, but he's no competitor. He's dressed in some very casual slacks and like sort of a loose fitting, almost like vacation style shirt. And as he straightens up, he pulls out a cigarette and lights it. He goes, well, better get all your stuff on board. Yeah. It's bound to be the time of your life.
Sorry, you blew the smoke directly to my face.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you sure it wasn't the diesel engine?
Very well could be.
It probably was that. And he takes a drag and then just kind of casually blows in your face again.
Oh. Well, ladies first.
Adeline will walk up. I'm assuming that someone will see to all my things to make sure they make it aboard.
Yes, I assume someone will.
This is not your first interaction with Miss Vandergelt after the a couple days ago. She very generously paid you to forget whatever cargo you were meant to be carrying back to the island and instead to load up the entire cargo hold of your boat with her massive automobile, which was very, very nice, expensive automobile. But you have interacted with her very briefly before.
Yeah, so he looks over at her automobile and goes, I suppose I can help you out since it's such a quaint little ride.
Sure, quaint is the word that you want to use.
It's very nice, don't get me wrong. It's these engines, they're a little bit clunky when they get up to 60.
Well, sometimes it's not about the speed, it's about the show, you know.
Oh, I most certainly do not. But I'll get it aboard all the same, and he reaches out for keys. All right, well, Chester's going to go about getting her vehicle on board.
just for fun, first roll of the game, why don't you make a drive auto roll?
Okay. I mean, that should be fine. Oop. It's, where is my drive auto? That is
Critical
going to
fail.
be a regular success.
A regular success, no issue. Captaining boats is not the only large motorized vehicle that Chester is familiar with. And he's able to very, very deftly navigate the car into the cargo hold of this boat. And there's hardly enough room for you to open the door in here. This is not an auto carrier. This is mostly a passenger ferry, but occasionally you do bring supplies back and forth to the island. In the meantime, while this is going on, another gentleman, much younger, maybe late teens, early 20s, runs off the boat and gets about loading Miss Van de Gelt's luggage onto the boat. It is not the only luggage to be loaded, but it is the most conspicuous pile. So he starts there. All the rest of y'all are welcome to get on the ferry and make yourselves comfortable, unless there's anything else you'd like to be doing in the meantime while all this is happening on.
You see Alistair kind of like grab the banister of like the ship, and he's just very wobbly, just like walking up and just like, fine ship you have here.
Ella is
mean-
coming up behind Alistair. She's taking her time because she wants to finish her cigarette as she goes, but she can't help but take notice of his current mood and distress. And she goes, "You need to find your sea legs.
Oh,
Maybe
God.
this wasn't the. Oh, I'm sorry." He blows a puff of smoke in his face by accident.
You know, they do say that the smoke can help with the nausea if you have any of that on the boat. I picked that one up on the Riviera.
Oh, madam, sorry, your name again?
Van de Gelt?
Oh,
The Carolina Van de Gelt?
No, Alistair Truscott. Lovely to meet you. Does anyone have just like a cigarette or something? Maybe I could try this. I need to.
We'll pull out like a gilded case and just.
Oh,
Fancy.
he pulls one out and anyone have a light?
Oh, lady never lights her own cigarette. You'll have to ask the gentleman for that.
Ella,
Miss
Ella just looks right at Adeline and lights
Chester
the
comes out at
cigarette.
the exact same time. He's like hanging out the window, and he goes to light it, and he goes, "Oh, never mind."
Alistair like just kind of sheepishly puts it toward and just.
Yeah, I was going to say, Alistair, can you make a con roll for me, please?
He's just gonna throw up, like straight up,
Oh.
throw up all over my ship.
It's a 65. I have a 60 as a, so it's a fail.
It is a regular failure.
Yeah.
You may spend luck points or push your roll if you would like to try and succeed at smoking a cigarette and looking cool doing it. But that is entirely up to you.
I'm gonna spend some life points. I mean, I'm gonna spend some luck. Sorry.
Your life
I'm-
point.
I'm
You're
gonna-
spending HP.
I'm
just
gonna
like-
spend 5 luck. I'm gonna spend 5 luck.
Yeah. So that So it's a little it's a little rough at first. Fortunately, you took one of Miss Van de Gelt's cigarettes, which only have the finest North Carolina tobacco rolled up in them, and you're able to you get a wave of nausea, but you're able to keep it down, and we'll see if that helps on the boat or not.
Very good stuff. Thank you. Thank you, madam.
You don't look like you're enjoying yourself anymore.
I did not expect there would be a boat to go to an island. something.
They just hear like Gertie from behind them just break out laughing, like she couldn't stop herself from laughing at that.
Does she have like a really hearty sort of laugh, or is it very subdued and quiet?
I would say it's in between both of those.
Yes. So Ella definitely takes note of that, and you see a little bit of a smirk on her face.
Glad we could all have a laugh at my expense.
You don't have to keep smoking it, you know that, right?
Oh, thank heavens! And he just flicks it off the side of the boat.
Okay.
Terrible stuff. Terrible stuff.
You can try and
Please,
grab it if you want.
Please don't throw garbage off the ship. The ducks eat it and it kills them. You
How
see.
dexterous am I? Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Okay, I
oh,
do
good.
want to try.
Yeah,
Actually.
make a dexterity roll.
That is a hard success for me.
Oh yeah. You just like as he's going to throw it, you know, you just reach up 2 fingers, just right in there and catch it.
She flicks her other cigarette, which was almost done at the same time.
It's very slick.
Impressive.
By about this time, all of your luggage has been loaded, making your way into the cabin, the main cabin of the Altea. It looks like, and you would know this, Chester, that this is usually, the Altea is primarily a mail boat, operating on behalf of the Postal Service, winning the contract to carry the mail back and forth between. I know where you were going with that.
Not as opposed to a female.
Right.
I was just about to ask.
Oh.
How unusual it's a mail
Can
boat.
chat bonk them, please?
The keeper
Go
of our
on.
lore will
Postal
remember
Service.
this. It's not fancy. The owner of the Palmlico Seaside Resort has, at his expense, paid for it to temporarily be outfitted with some very plush cushions, very nice seats, redone the interior. Some of this equipment is mostly on loan and does need to go back to the hotel when this weekend is over. But for now, and anyone who's paying close attention to it will notice that it's very much a retrofit of niceness. There is they have taken a step of putting in a small bar on the boat as well for the passengers, and as the luggage gets loaded, the last piece gets put on, the rope gets undone, and the young man who was helping load the luggage hops on and quickly runs behind the bar and straightens himself up, looks a little bit like quickly puts on a clip-on tie and a nice little hat, and is there standing to do double duty as both porter and bartender.
What's this young man's name?
His name is Richard Thomas.
All right, Dick. Get some martinis going for our guests.
Yes, sir. Right away, Mr. Caldwell. And he's going to start getting out some gin and some olives and all these things and start making various martinis, whether or not anyone orders them. It's just like all of a sudden, after a moment, there's like 7 martinis set out on the front of the bar, even though there's only the 5 of you. And 1 for him, I guess. So these are free to all winners of the sweepstakes, courtesy of Mr. Gaskill.
Oh, don't mind if I do. Ladies, could I offer you a drink?
Well,
On
yes,
the
I will
house.
take one.
He actually picks one up and hands it over to Adeline.
I also wouldn't mind one.
Yeah, same here.
I look over at Alistair looks over at Rick or Dick, sorry, and goes, "You might as well stop. You might as well pay me." Here you are.
Excellent.
Meanwhile, Dick's just bringing one to me and leaving you to serve everyone.
Gertie, would you like one?
Yes, yes, please.
Here you go. No teetotalers here, right? Cheers to the contest winners.
Chester calls out "Cheers" from the cabin as he pushes the throttle forward at that exact moment.
The old,
Dexterity check?
Good heavens!
the old diesel engine in the Altea is not strong enough to prompt a dexterity check. But these martinis are the best that any of you, except possibly Adeline, have ever had. He got an extreme success on his craft roll to make a martini, so
Nice.
they're very excellent. As the boat pulls away from the dock, it took a little bit of time to load everybody's things in the car and all that, so getting on into early evening, about 7 o'clock now, and you can see the sun starting to set. Twilight hours coming up soon. You know it will be a long ferry ride, and it's going to be about a 5-hour journey between these two islands. And as we float away from the docks and the land shrinking in the distance over time, Alistair, what are you doing? Where are you? And what are you looking at?
Is there any just sort of kind of like a viewing deck that's where there's maybe it's kind of windowed in, glassed in, and you can sit down and look out onto the sea?
So the cabin, the main cabin where the bartender is set up, does have windows around it that you can look out onto. And there is also a deck to the rear of the ship that is large enough for several of you to go out, stand on if you wanted to. There's also a small foredeck at the front of the ship, but I imagine Chester may yell at you if you stand up there. There is a sign that says crew only.
Then I will follow that. I will find the nearest place where I could at least read a book, and I pull out this old leather-bound book and just flip through it, and occasionally just chuckle to myself. And then every now and then I just kind of peek over my book and look out onto the dark lake, and then I'll just go back to reading my book.
And what are the rest of you doing at this moment?
Ella is going to look for. Is there a table in this area that you could?
There are a few tables around with chairs sat at them. It looks like this boat was outfitted to carry more than its current complement in moderate luxury. However, this being the last ferry leaving before the weekend.
Then she finishes off her drink fairly quickly. She sips it, but she's doing sip after sip, basically. And when she's done, she sets it down. If there's an olive in it, she eats that. And she pulls out a deck of cards and starts shuffling them in her hands. And she is sitting at the bar at first, and then she looks to the others who are still in the area. And she goes, "Game of cards, maybe, to pass the time. Anyone?"
Gertie will look up from where she's sitting. She had decided to sit at a little table. She's just fiddling with her pearls, having her small little bag beside her. And she's like, "Oh, a game of cards. That sounds wonderful. I'll play."
What do you know? She's gonna come over and take a seat next to Gertie.
Well, I know a bunch of games. I don't know what you're familiar with, possibly. Euchre, no, other names.
Do you want to play? Do you want to play a game of rummy?
Sure, yeah.
Gin rummy?
You play.
Well, I only dabbled while I was in Cambridge.
All right, well, you're in.
Props are gonna kill me.
Yep.
Well, thank you. I hope I don't. You hope I'm not intruding, Gertie. I just, I've been a long time since I played gin rummy, and he just adjusts these like small, comically small glasses, just like, oh.
The more the merrier.
All right.
Did we lose Cherry?
Nope.
We did.
He might.
There she is.
Your camera dropped off the feed for a second.
I lost Shanks and Kirsty.
Weird. Okay, well, we're all back now. Anyway, as you were.
So she's gonna start dealing out cards for them then, and yeah, that's how they're gonna pass a bit of the time. She is a chain smoker, is what you are going to learn. She doesn't go more than a couple minutes without a cigarette in her mouth, and she seems a little bit nervous. Like if you take a moment to take in her body language when she isn't doing anything active, there's just like a slight shake to her hand.
You, madam, a little nervous, are you? Being out on the sea, I'm a little quite nervous as well.
It's been a rough go at things lately for me. It's
Oh, frightfully sorry to hear that.
I think more than anything, I'm excited, but I don't want to get my hopes up about this trip.
You're looking for a little bit of fun and adventure on Ocracoke Island?
A little bit of renewed vigor about life, I think.
There's nothing that the good spirit of nature and a good book can bring you.
What were you reading over there?
You're interested in my book? By any chance, do you read ancient Greek?
I can't say that I do, no.
Oh, then I feel this is going to be gobbledygook to you.
What about you, Gertie? You an ancient Greek type of gal?
No, not at all. More psychology, understanding people.
Oh. You read the cranium, do you?
Well, I mean, I try.
Okay, well, what do you see in me? He puts down the cards on the table.
Make a psychology roll if you would like to, Gertie.
Okay, that is whatever the second type of roll is.
That is a
I don't
hard
remember what they're called.
pass.
Yeah, a hard pass.
So, what does you gather that Alistair has some sort of phobia to do with the current situation that he's in. And if there's anything else that you think she would gather, Alistair, let her know what it is.
You can also you can get that he's also a people pleaser. You somewhat see that he's probably been walked over a lot through his life, and he tries to beat people to the punch to give them the upper hand.
So, what I've seen since we were on the dock was that you have something that you're scared of right now, sort of maybe like a phobia. something. I'm not too sure. And you definitely like to be a people pleaser. You want to make sure everyone's having a good time and make sure like you're the one to do something before they even ask.
Do you need a refill of your drink? Maybe nailed on the head. I mean, I am not the best on water or underneath it, or anywhere around it.
Oh, do me next.
Another psychology roll, if you please.
She fails
And
this one.
What did you roll total?
I rolled a 64 and I have a 60.
That is just a regular fail. You may spend luck if you wish to, push your roll if you wish to, or improvise what you think Ella's like.
I'll improvise.
She's like kind of posturing herself now, and she flicks her hair, and she's ready for you to destroy her.
Well, it's hard. You seem to be very masked. Like you don't want people to know you, I guess. You hold yourself close to yourself.
You kind of see like her lip quiver for just a second, and her eyes like sort of go unsteady. But then she composes herself. Maybe you're not as good as I thought. And she takes another long drag of her cigarette and blows. You could tell you got to her a little bit, though.
So is it just the three of you playing cards?
Yes, at this point, Adeline has also settled in with the book.
All right. So if those of you who are playing cards, let's resolve and see who wins this round of
All right.
whatever we were playing. Was it Rummy?
Rummy,
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So you may make luck rolls if you wish to play fair, or you may make sleight of hand rolls if you wish to cheat. I got you.
So a luck roll, is that because I reduced my luck? Do I have to roll under the reduced?
Yes, you do.
Here we go. Shit. 88. And that's a 65. That's a
Understood.
fail.
Yeah, 84, and that's a definite fail. 'Cause I was 45.
Ella did sleight of hand for 13, which is an extreme success for her.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, you're just absolutely taken to the cleaners. If there's any cash on the line, all of it winds up in Ella's pockets after about an hour of playing.
She kind of brushes it off a little bit. Oh, I suppose I got lucky there. I hope you had fun, though. Good way to pass the time, no?
Some would say, yes.
And
Oh, it was wondrous fun, even though I absolutely bombed.
by this time, it's getting on after 8 o'clock now in the evening. The sun is all but shrinking in the distance. No land is visible from where you are. And Alistair, as you no longer have your nose in a book, you occasionally catch a glimpse out the window, and as the sun starts to set down, the fog starts to roll in, and the size of the world outside starts to shrink. Just from the visibility. Can I have you, Alistair, please make a sanity roll for me?
Oh, God.
Here we go.
Uh, 60, but I'm actually at 65, so I guess it's a success. Sorry, I'm still learning this.
Yep, that is a success. If you rolled under your total current sanity, that is a success. Maybe it's the alcohol, maybe it's the company. maybe it was that cigarette. Whatever it is, you start to have a bout of panic as the rocking of the boat and the rhythmic sound of the engine and the waves are all starting to get to you. But you take a moment and breathe and recover yourself.
Oh, remember your ancient Greek. Remember your ancient Greek. Father. And he just keeps like rocking back and forth, like rolling his like little strap around his book.
Can we see this?
Oh, yes.
So Ella looks over at Adeline, and Ella, I assume that I can't see Chester unless he's...
You could see the back of his head through the window on the door to the cabin.
Then she looks at the two ladies and goes, all right.
Alistair, are you okay there, dear?
Going swimmingly. I mean, don't say that. I'm doing fine.
Seemed like you're a fish out of the water. Oh, I don't... Maybe that was a bad phrasing. Sorry.
Not the W word right now, please.
Okay.
So Miss Collins here is into psychology, but are any of you into the study of dreams? I've been reading this fascinating book by Miss Violet Burr, who is into the spiritual and metaphysical matters to be found in dreams.
I can't say that I have. But
Chester is in the doorway suddenly.
I'll say too, Chester, at this point you would know you have cleared the any of the sandbars and obstacles that are prevalent around Cedar Island at this point. You have a couple of hours before you need to like actively boat again. You kind of make sure it stays pointing in the right direction.
Fair enough. He just kind of fills the doorway and lights a cigarette. I had a dream once. Be the fastest man alive. Oh, those days are behind me now. Anyway, can I get anybody
not
anything?
Those kinds of dreams. That is between you and yourself as a man. I'm talking about the spiritual connection we make to the other side when we lose consciousness and allow ourselves to sleep.
Oh, come on. You don't really buy into such nonsense, do you?
It's not nonsense. Some of us actually were born with the gift.
It's funny. The Greeks, they were interested in the dreams. They interpreted them. They meant signs. I feel Madame Adeline is, she has something there. That is quite fascinating. You study this?
Of course. I mean, everyone does. Anyone does nowadays.
Oh.
And have you... The spiritual and the occult, it's all over New York.
World has
Have
changed.
none of you ever been to a seance?
Frightfully, I can't say I have, madam.
You simply must. They are all the thing to do now.
That's some sort of race.
say what now?
Have you ever been to a seance?
I don't think that I know what that is. Would you care to enlighten us?
Yes. Oh, if only I had my chalk and my candles, but alas, they are in my trunks.
Oh, that is such a tragedy.
Yes. You invite the spiritual world in. You allow the veil to thin, and you get to speak to the other side. Of course, you do need a guide who has the gift to connect with the spiritual world.
You would be that sort of guide?
I mean, I've been told that I have a touch of the gift, not to brag or anything, but...
What might one find on this other side, madame?
Those who have gone before.
You mean like those we've lost?
Yes.
So we could speak to Plato.
That is certainly an option, perhaps. It's not who I would ask for first, but...
Young Alistair would have so
ancient
many
Greek.
questions.
And it's at the discussion of seances and spirits and communing with the other side. The atmosphere inside of the cabin becomes almost a little bit stuffy. You wouldn't notice the transition if you weren't actively paying attention to it, but each one of you at some point feels just a sudden feeling that it's more humid. The air pressure has gone up, and some of the fog that had been outside, it almost seems like it's starting to pervade the corners of your vision at this point. Can I have everybody make a listen roll, please?
Ooh, that's a
I
big
got
failure.
a hard success.
Hard success.
Regular success.
Full success.
Fail.
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 Adeline and Alistair. The two of you hear over the constant droll of the old diesel engine propelling this boat through the Palmlico Sound. Hear a different kind of splashing outside. It's different than the waves lapping against the side of the boat, the prow passing through the water. It sounds like it's originating from a point in space next to the boat. And if you listen for a minute, it sounds like it's moving around you in a big circle.
Mr. Caldwell, are we the only vessel out to sea at this time?
Oh, most certainly. Nobody else can navigate in the dark like we can.
Are you sure about that?
I'm quite positive. I know it's a bit foggy, but
And
I
what
assure
manner
you, this
of
road is
sea
safe.
creatures are here?
Well, there's some. If you're looking to do some fishing and that sort of thing,
I don't fish. No.
Can we all stop mentioning the W-related words?
Yeah.
Which words are those?
Fish, whale, porpoise, starfish, catfish, water, leak, sink.
Are you all right? You seem like you're up to your neck at the moment.
There's no water. There's no water around here, so there's nothing up to my neck.
Did you hear it too, Alistair?
I certainly did. And he's kind of walking back towards one of the walls, and he's like, certainly heard that. And it could be ruffians just pedaling around on a little boat beside us. Do you have common piracy?
It's pirates. Are you for real?
Yes, I read a story about this pirate Shanks once before. And he
Hey, look!
he was dread pirate.
I mean, there were pirates along the Carolina coast, but that's been so long ago.
I assure you, you have nothing to fear. I take this route almost daily, really. And were it to come to the worst conceivable scenario, well, I have been allowed certain conveyances to deal with any threats that may arise.
Perhaps
Okay.
it was the spirits of the pirates that have come before.
Don't say that.
Or perhaps you were just, you're all a little jumpy because you're talking about death and spirits on the other side and you're not used
Well,
to
there's nothing
traveling
to be
by sea.
afraid of death. That's the whole point of a seance, is to communicate.
Well, I can understand why that would be a very alluring topic for some, maybe all. But I assure you there's nothing on the other side worth seeing.
As this conversation goes on, the two of you can still hear the splashing sound getting closer and then further away, making a circle.
Is there like a lantern from the inside that I could pick up and take onto the deck?
Yeah. There would be some sort of light that you could take with you. And anybody who now actively wants to listen to this thing that's being talked, now that it's being talked about, can automatically succeed their listen and can hear it too.
For just a moment, Ella is a little bit curious about what Chester just said about assuring us how he could possibly know that. But then, like, one of the splashes kind of takes her out of her curiosity. And she is going to, she sees that everyone else is kind of interested in this now as well, and she's going to also look around for something to light the way. If not, she will just like go out with her lighter essentially and try to make do with that.
So there are lights that, like, there are fixed lights on the rear deck of the boat designed to illuminate it and are casting a little bit of light on the water, and there are a couple of lanterns inside as well that could be repurposed for moving outside.
She might just use then the fixed lights that are at the back, and
I would like to take the lantern out and look over the edge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I will be staying in here with Richard, and I look to Richard a bit. Do you have any rope and ears wax? This is reminding me of Odysseus and the sirens.
Are you looking for earwax?
Well, sorry, wax to put in your ear. The sirens.
I see.
Possibly, we don't know. They're not out there. I once saw one at a sideshow.
He's like pats down his pockets. Like, there's a candle on that table over there. And there's like some little votive candles on the tables for a little bit of ambiance.
You know what? I think I'm fine right here. And he kind of grabs onto the bar and just holds beside. Everything's fine. How about
Chester puts a hand on his back reassuringly, and he goes, "Promise you, this is perfectly normal. It happens all the time. The seabed gets roiled up, a little bit."
So why would you think that's something you would want to say about a seabed riling up to a person like myself?
It's gas escaping, It's not a problem.
Okay.
While that's going on, we'll cut to the deck. We know Adeline and Ella are out there. Gertie, where are you?
Gertie would be following Adeline and asking her about, like, has she ever communicated with anyone from, like, the other side?
Oh, yes.
You have, like, is it difficult, like, when...
Well, yes, like I said, you need a guide who is attuned to the spiritual realm.
And so, like, they can sort of pinpoint exactly, like, the person that you want to talk to.
Yes, it's not always 100% accurate, but, the stronger the connection to the spiritual realm, the better the guide, the more accurate it is.
Okay, so it has to be, like, someone you're wanting to talk to who's, like, really close to you, like, past relation.
Oh, yes. At one seance, I was up in New York. This dear, sweet woman who had lost her husband in the war, he spoke to her. He talked about the flowers that he gave her on the wedding, and it was the most touching thing I've ever seen.
Right. The three of you that are on the deck, what are your spot hidden scores?
Or what?
Spot hidden.
55.
25.
Right. Ella, you see it first. Adeline and Gertie are a little bit absorbed in their conversation, but as you're looking over the edge of the railing in the boat, you You hear the splashing getting a little bit closer. It sounds like there's something in the water. And when you look down to identify the source of the noise, it looks like there is somebody swimming in the water around the boat with a faint green outline glowing in the water where it's breaking the surface. When one hand enters the water, just a faint green glow, and then the other one comes up, glow on the surface. And you take a closer look. This body does not have a head. I need you to make a sanity roll for me, please.
Okay. Ella, as they're walking out, is in the middle of saying, Gertie, I think if you pay someone even more money, that you might be a little bit more successful in reaching this person. And then she just goes, what in the damn hell is that? And
then the two of you reacting to this also see and have a sanity roll from both of you as well.
That is a 65, and my sanity is 45.
Cool.
27, and my sanity is 45.
You're okay.
A 67, and my sanity is 68.
Nice.
Well done.
Ella, can you please roll intelligence for me? Actually, wait, not yet. I need to see how many points of sanity you lose. You don't. It's only 2. It's only 2 points of sanity for you, and then 1 point for Gertie and Adeline. As you see a headless body swimming around the boat. What do you do?
I'm going to pop my head back inside. Mr. Caldwell, I do believe the spirits are out for a swim tonight.
Excuse me, good sir. And he heads outside to take a look at what
As you
she is
begin to
referring
go,
to.
you feel like a tug at your shirt, and you can see that Alistair is just pretty much glued to you now. He's just like, what is, Madam Adeline, what you say? And we keep keep moving out, I guess.
Are you sure you're brave enough for this, sir?
Alistair, I don't know if you want to come look. I mean, perhaps you do. Perhaps it would solidify your opinions on the spiritual world interacting with the physical world.
I came out here for adventure. I will try my best.
All right, there you go. And he smacks him on the back.
Alistair's
All
going
right.
to be the one to unload his clip on everybody, I think.
And by this time, whatever this thing is that's been swimming in the water has made it around to the other side of the boat and is temporarily out of sight, but you can still hear the splashing.
All right, ma'am. What is it?
Well, if you would just wait a moment, I do believe it will come back around.
It appears to be a massive form.
I'm going to say he is the only person who would be stupid enough to be swimming out here and get lost and stuck in this part of the ocean.
He?
Okay. I was going to say, go ahead if you had more to say. I want to cut you off.
I'm sorry. He? Who are you referring to?
And I'll just gesture over the edge.
Okay.
And after a moment of waiting, right towards where Adeline is gesturing, this entity comes back around for another lap. And Alistair, you see a large masculine form with no head swimming through the water, and I need you to make a sanity roll, please. And I am going to have you make this with a penalty die because you are afraid of water already, which is essentially disadvantage on this. So roll the 10s twice and take the higher number.
Okay. Please roll low. Please roll low. First one was a 75.
Great.
Second one was an 85, and
All
I
right,
have
well-
65 sanity.
All right, we'll go with the 85 then.
Splendid.
Oh, good. That's fun. I need you.
Things you want to hear every keeper say.
Isn't it great? We're not even off the boat yet. So you lose 5 points of sanity. And I need you to make an intelligence roll, please. And oddly enough, you want to fail this.
So 5 points of sanity, so I go down to 60 sanity.
Yep.
Fantastic. And what was it? An intelligence?
Yep.
We're not making it off this boat.
No.
We're all
Every
gonna
game
die
I've
here.
played with y'all is going to be a boat adventure.
I have 70 intelligence,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's a 21.
That, friends, is
Perfect.
a very, very good success.
It's happening.
It's happening. So you are. The water had already put you on edge. And suddenly seeing what appears to be a corpse swimming through the water with the general body type it's very reminiscent of your father as viewed from the back.
Papa?
I need. Can you roll a d12 or a d10 for me, please, and just tell me what you get?
4.
4. Ah, good. You feel, you'd felt the world closing in on you from this fog and the ocean. Your entire world is this boat right now, and all 4 of these people, and the bartender, they're just sitting here like there's not a headless corpse swimming around the boat. They must be in cahoots with this somehow. You're having a bout of madness, and this will last for about 5 minutes, or until someone can snap him out of it. What are you doing with these people that are trying to feed you to the water zombie?
What is? How could you feed me to this? It has no head.
What?
Who
What
put
is
some-
it?
It was Richard. Richard, you put something in the
Richard,
drinks, Richie.
I think he needs something strong. Well, I don't know, I just went British. That was the wrong character.
I'm not entirely sure. More alcohol is the
There's something in the
solution
books.
here.
There's something in the book. There's gotta be something in the book.
He's lost it.
Hearing-
I've seen this before. It's okay. What you're all experiencing is a very common illusion that happens on this water. All right? Something about the sea gas gets bubbling up, and then the moonlight hits it, and
Can I
combined
see
with
how
the
full
fog.
of shit he is?
Yeah, make a psychology roll.
You keep
I think
talking
that's a
about sea
fail.
gas as if that's a thing that happens.
Many things in the sea produce gas. It's just not as obvious most of
I
the
mean,
time.
I don't know about gas. I do know a lot about the hot air on the ship right now.
It is a little warm, isn't it?
Yeah, you Americans are all about the hot air.
Yeah, she failed
But-
that one.
How badly?
I got an 87, and my psychology is 45.
Okay. Yeah. You are welcome to try and push your roll if you would like, or spend all of your luck points.
No, she's just gonna believe that he's full of shit, even if he isn't.
Okay, yeah, that's totally fine. You can do that. And having heard his name called for, Richard, the cabin boy, porter, bartender, comes out with another drink. Says, "Somebody needed another," and looks down and says, "What in the hell is that?"
I know, Rich.
He needs to make a sanity roll now.
Oh no!
Ooh,
Boy.
that is a fumble. He rolled a 2 to make drinks and a 99 on sanity for this one.
We're all going down down together.
Yeah, so he starts babbling incoherently now and is
Oh boy.
Solidifying Alistair's. theory.
This is a bit of a situation at this point.
Chester,
Why don't we get you all inside? Yes.
Richard is running for the helm.
Oh, I'm going to have to stop him.
Yeah.
Because that would be very dangerous.
I am also. Do I notice this?
You see that he's taking off back inside, making a beeline for something,
Okay.
and he's shouting, "We gotta get out of here! We've got to get out of here!" He's having like a full-on panic attack too.
You're right.
Yeah, so I'm going to attempt to pass him and block his passage to the helm.
Make me a. This will be a brawl check.
I'm not trying to hit him.
Understood. This is a fighting maneuver, which runs off a brawl.
I mean, all I'm trying to do is run past him.
Okay.
Like, I'm just literally trying to be in the space he's headed to.
What is your? Okay, then make do Dex for me. Do Dex because it's a little bit of a head start.
Okay, I can do Dex. I can very much do Dex. That's a 10, which is a extreme success.
Yeah. Chester, everybody on the deck sees, whether or not it registers for Alistair is another question. Chester is just off like a shot, almost unnaturally fast. Zips around this kid that's trying to run for the helm and just puts himself in the doorway.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to like calm him. I don't even touch him. I'm just like holding the frame, and I'm just like, Dickie, listen, the safest place is the island at this point. Don't worry about it. It'll be fine.
Make me a. Oh, that'll be a persuade.
Okay, well, that is a fail. Damn.
But
I thought I was good at that.
What did you roll?
I rolled a 43.
All right. So he's going to try and he's going to counter that with a psychology. Which he also
it's charm I'm good at. That's.
Oh, you can use charm.
Ooh, then it is a regular success.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Also, feel free to ask me if you can use another skill instead. That's totally fine. Part of the fun of this game is haggling with the Keeper of Arcane Lore. Yeah, so he rolls miserably on that. And after a moment of calm talking, a very calm demeanor, you're able to soothe him. And Alistair, you're feeling a little bit better too, but you're still kind of shaken.
Can I try to talk Alistair down?
Yes.
Alistair, you mentioned you went to Cambridge.
Yes, that's why I currently reside. Yes.
And do you study the classics?
Anything, my dear. I'm a book dealer. I buy books, I sell them, I take them, I collect them. Classics, new, old, ragged.
Oh, well, then we must talk. I happened to stumble across a rather rare book. I do not speak Greek, but French in all of its forms and fashions, even back to medieval.
Oh. By any chance, what's the name of the book?
Oh, I can't recall right now. But how about we go inside and we discuss books, and you don't have to worry about anything out here.
That would sound lovely. Just as far away from the edge as possible.
Are we still seeing this?
In the chaos, with the running and the shouting, at the moment that all of your eyes were off of this entity at the same time, you don't see it sink beneath the waves and out of sight. But when you look back, it is no longer there. The fog, though, still thick. The air still heavy. with the southern summer.
During all of the chaos, Ella had said to Gertie, he said it was just some sort of illusion by the fog. And she takes out, she digs around in her duffel bag and she pulls out a camera. And she's like waiting for this thing to come back around. And when it doesn't come back around, you feel like you hear her heel just like clack. And she kind of just, ugh. There's something going on here. And she holds the camera still in her hand. She looks off to see that a little bit of the chaos has kind of settled in. Supposed to relax at an island after this.
I don't know how any of us will relax after that.
And in the back of all of your minds too that saw this, the only way back is also this boat.
Maybe we get him to turn the boat around. Huh? You know, we'll have to come back for this, right?
At this point, does it seem like it's less time to get to the island than to turn back?
At this point, yes, it would be less. You're more than halfway to Ocracoke Island.
You know, maybe it's not as eerie in the morning.
I hope not. 'Cause, I mean, like, we want to relax, right? We're hardworking girls. We just want some peace and quiet. And
Worst comes to worst, we just stay inside and play cards and pretend we don't hear any splashing in the water. And she heads back inside the boat.
Gertie would follow. Oh, the music.
Keep that back inside. It's a man with a knife. They have lines to make more drinks. Richard is going to keep the alcohol flowing for himself, if no one else, for the remainder of this boat ride. Anybody that wants, he's just going to be behind the bar making himself beverages, happy to share with whoever else might wish to calm their nerves.
I'll take one. Rich. Thank you. Sorry about that. How? Yeah.
It's like just holding. There's like got like a highball glass and just a bottle of rum, and it's just kind of like.
Oh, okay. Yep. I didn't want rum, but that's fine.
He'll just like
Yep.
Put it down. What? What can I get you?
Just some whiskey if you have any.
Yeah.
Take that too.
Two, and he just
Make that 3.
he reaches down under the deck.
Whiskey's all around Dickie, and he comes out and he's looking very relaxed about this whole situation.
And he just pulls out 5 bottles of whiskey and sets them on the counter.
Bottles?
We're getting plastered now.
Anybody who would like to get completely blasted to deal with what they just saw may do so and recover a little bit of sanity. But
I'm going to do that.
you'll also be blasted.
Yep.
So they have everybody who, actually everyone except Chester took some sanity damage. So Adeline and Gertie only took 1. You get that back. Alistair, please recover 3 points of sanity, and Ella, please recover 2.
Oh, I wasn't myself there for a little bit. Alistair kind of stands up and rights himself and puts his book underneath his arm and says, "I would just like to formally apologize that for my reaction to just a little bit of fog and Chester, you said swamp gas or whatever it was?
Right. It's a little bit of gas from the seabed, boils up the water. You hear things, you see things. There's fog and moonlight, and it's very disturbing. It's a very creepy place at night if you don't know what to expect. But
Trust.
not the first time I've seen it. It's just an illusion.
I will trust you Americans with your local knowledge of the environment. I'm just going to... Madam Adeline, could I have a look at that book later when we get to the island, if that's possible?
I mean, I don't have... Are you talking about the one I'm currently reading, the other one?
The French one. Is that not with you?
Oh, I don't have it on my person, no.
That's fine. It's fine. Oh.
It is in your luggage, though, for the keeper's knowledge, right?
Mm-hmm.
The rest, the remaining 2 hours of the journey pass without incident. An occasional, slightly larger wave does pitch the ship a little bit, but it's kind of hard to tell whether or not it's the ship or your drunk asses that's having a hard time standing up. And you hear an announcement. Chester just turns around and shouts out from the cabin that you'll be arriving soon.
Oh, thank God.
Let's see. Yeah, so pull into the dock on Ocracoke Island. Let me pull up my own map here. No, I don't want to update Microsoft Edge. Just show me the freaking map. There it is. Thank you, computer. And you pull into Silver Lake Harbor and make towards the dock. It's a very small dock. There's only room enough for this ship and maybe one other one to dock at the same time. And start offloading your things. Richard is having a little bit of a difficult time now being drunk and trying to move heavy luggage. Adeline, whether or not you choose to let this distress you is up to you.
I think I'm relaxed enough at this point.
Understood.
I mean, as long as nothing falls into the water.
Yeah. No. He's not quite that drunk, but waiting at the dock for your arrival, there's a rather a taller, older gentleman, not just very broad. A gentleman in a... You can only see it because he's standing in a light thrown by the one lamp on the end of this dock. A gentleman in a very finely tailored seersucker suit with a cane, holding a hat under his arm. He waves and says, "Chester, you're a bit late to dock tonight. I was afraid something had happened."
Oh, just took a long time to get Her Majesty's belongings aboard.
Ah, you must, and then it says, "You must be Miss Vandergelt. You're the one who I believe is sending some of your effects ahead of you." Well, it is a pleasure to meet all of you. I am Mr. Owen Gaskill, the proprietor of the hotel you will be enjoying the weekend at. I trust the transit was smooth. No finer captain here than good Mr. Caldwell.
You have a great captain.
The captain certainly had a lot to say about sea gas.
Oh yeah, the fog can play tricks on the eyes. You get used to it after a few crossings. I usually make mine in the day, though. It's still a little unsettling.
should do that next time. Are we leaving in the morning by any chance? Like, no, not tomorrow morning, but when we sail.
Oh, we'll be setting back in the daytime. Yes, not to worry.
Thank God.
Yeah, they're all visibly relieved.
Now come, let's get you all settled in. Now it is quite late, and you can hear on him saying that very timely the clock tower on the church in town striking midnight. I imagine you all must be very tired. It's been a long day, a long journey. Let's get you settled into your rooms for the evening. And now I apologize, Miss Vandergelt. We don't have enough room in our transit for all of your personal effects and all of the individuals traveling in one journey, but I do see you brought your own vehicle.
I never go anywhere without it.
Woman of taste and class, I can appreciate this. Now, would it be too much to request that you drive that vehicle to the hotel, or do we need to send someone to drive it?
I can drive it.
Very well. Richard, would you load Miss Vandergelt's things into her vehicle for her? Oh, yeah, certainly. He's trying very hard to not look drunk. Doing an okay job. And over the course of a few minutes, loads all of your trunks into the back of your vehicle, and there is an new now, because it's 1925, sitting by the docks that all the rest of your personal effects get loaded into, as we have our own it's been painted on the side with the logo of the Palmlico Seaside Resort, a very fine script. It's like the official, like it's the bus that the hotel sends to the airport to pick people up. Chester, this is the vehicle that you usually drive while you're on the island.
Well, when aboard, I'll take you to your rooms.
Are you the driver too?
I drive everything.
Well, all right then. Ella's just gonna follow along. She like stumbles a little bit here and there, but then tries to compose herself again. Also trying not to look drunk. So.
Very good. Would you like to roll for that, if you want, to see how good you are at it?
Sure.
I'll take either persuade or charm or
Have acting.
Yeah, acting will do.
That is a hard success.
You're fine. Ella put away almost way more whiskey than you thought someone of her size should be able to, and still stand up straight. It's very impressive.
Gertie is following closely behind her, sort of chuckling to herself, but trying to walk like very much in a straight line.
Chester leads them to the passenger side of the vehicle and just opens both doors simultaneously. Here you are, ladies.
Oh, thank you. And she's going to let Gertie go past her, but mostly because she's trying to stop herself from hiccuping at the moment, and that takes a little bit of concentration.
Do you mind if I take the front? I get a little car sick and I need to see the horizon.
You say that too.
The ladies, anyone? I'm just making sure I'm letting it known that I just want to make sure I see the horizon, or else it's not very good.
It is quite dark. I don't know if you're going to see any horizon.
You have headlamps on those, don't you?
They don't reach the horizon, my good sir.
As long as I can see something in front of me, I'm fine. I learned that at a young age, back when growing up in Norfolk. I read in the car, in my father's automobile, and well, let's just say, no more reading in the automobile. But if Madame Adeline would have me, I would.
What year was this that your father had a car in Norfolk?
Well, as you can tell, the Truscotts were a little bit of a. He looks around and goes, "A little bit well-to-do."
You must have been, as I don't recall there being many cars out that way at the time.
Got one imported. I don't know.
Daimler's been making vehicles since the 1880s.
There you go. The Daimler.
Ah, I see. So we're not talking a car here.
I don't get the joke.
I think Chester would know that any vehicle around that vintage would be more of a self-propelled carriage than what you might think of as an automobile.
Suppose it had an engine of sorts. Anyway, if you're more comfortable in the front, that's fine.
I would love to be in this. And he quickly just moves in and sits down into the front seat with his like little book bag. Like,
it's it's weird. You have made it a goal of yours, of sorts, to spend as little time on boats as possible. And now that you're back on land, it feels as though you're still on a boat. With the constant rocking from side to side that will take a while to abate. Familiar to anyone that's been on a boat before, perhaps unfamiliar to Alistair.
not to me.
Once he's got his passengers loaded up, he will go back though to Miss Vandergelt's vehicle and say, "Now, ma'am, I know that there were plenty of drinks flowing on the boat. Are you sure you're okay to follow me in your vehicle?"
All the time.
All right. Just know if you hit me, well, nothing I can do about it. Because you're our honored guest. So it would just make me very sad.
I will try my hardest not to make you sad.
All right then. Right this way. And he heads back to the driver's seat of his vehicle.
And while those two are having a discussion, Mr. Gaskill leans into the window of the rear of the automobile and does ask, "Now, would you all mind terribly if I rode along? And it'd be a little bit crowded back here, but we've fit 5 in this vehicle before. I could walk, but it's a bit of a ways."
Why not? There's room, right?
Yeah, Ella just, I assume, like, Gertie went in, and then Ella, and she just kind of scooches over. As she was watching Adeline and Chester have this conversation, and Gertie just hears under her breath, "Now who's wearing a mask?"
And the cars leave the dock. Chester, a little bit perhaps envious at the smooth purr of the V8 engine in the Pierce Arrow compared to the positively ordinary straight inline 4 in the Model T. But
It's all right. With time, I will get her going quickly, just like my old one.
but with very little difficulty, you're able to get the cars off the end of the docks. At this point, there are now 3 automobiles that call Ocracoke Island their home. And it turns out that the other one isn't operating right now, so there's not a whole lot to hit. And Adeline, you're able to follow the only other car on the road to the Palmlico Seaside Resort, winding down through the center of downtown Ocracoke Island. This city so small, it's just named after the island that it's on. It looks like maybe there's a few hundred people at the most that live here. You spot on your way. You make note of a lighthouse flashing in the distance. And another thing that catches your eye, what appears to be a general store on the main drag. It says, just labeled Albert Styron's store. drive out of downtown through a small residential area, down a road that winds a little bit of ways through the marsh before the land opens back out into a wide spit sticking out into the Palmlico Sound on the north side of the island, rising before you. A brand new construction, a fabulous 3-story hotel and resort on the end of this bit of land on this tiny little island right on the edge of the Atlantic Ocean.
Quite lovely establishment you have here, Mr. Sorry, Mr. what? Askill?
Gaskill.
Gaskill. Yes.
But you can call me Owen if you like.
Owen, what's the history of this little establishment you have?
Well, there is no history of this establishment, as this is a grand opening celebration this weekend. This is the opening celebration is not even until Sunday, so you're all getting an extra early sneak peek.
Interesting, but there's always history on the land. What was there before?
Oh, let's see. What was here before? Well, during this bit of land in particular was home to an abandoned military base of sorts that was initially constructed during the Civil War, fell into disrepair after that was wrapped up, and had just been largely sat unused for much of the last 60 years until I purchased it and built my resort here.
Interesting. It was just abandoned, you say, or just fell into disrepair?
Well, seeing as the government that had owned it no longer existed at the end of the war,
yes, I heard about that.
not much people had use for it. But this island does have a very storied history, which I'm sure some of the folks over at the Historical Society would be more than happy to discuss with you in the morning if you're interested.
I am. Well, thank you, Owen. Was it? Yes.
Yes, it was. And if you do go there, ask for Ruth and tell her that I sent you.
Ruth?
Yes.
Yes. Just like your baseball player. Is he around then? I don't know.
Take a wild guess.
No. Yes, he was.
Yeah, he was. 1914 to 1935. Thanks, Google. Thanks, B-Town.
21 years as a professional athlete.
He was pretty good. It's only really a 15-minute drive to the hotel from the docks. The island is very small, but it would be difficult to walk on as none of the roads have been bothered to have been paved yet. The island only recently getting its second permanent automobile. It would be very difficult to walk that distance on the sandy roads. You're all shown to your rooms. You have your luggage brought up. They are all very comfortable, very well apportioned private bathrooms. Is there anything you all would like to do before we conclude the evening?
Can I make an occult roll to see if I can sense anything of the beyond in this place?
You can. Are you just going to sit down and open your mind, or are you going to take time to set up like a seance?
No, I think since we're just getting this is like a general feel for the space.
Yeah, make an occult roll then.
Oh, 50, and I have a 50.
Okay. You just sit down for a moment as you're gaining familiarity with the room, and find yourself in a very comfortable, upholstered seat next to the fireplace, which is when you came in was initially unlit, as it is summer in the South, even though at night fire is not necessarily something you want in your room. You feel some kind of vibration it is not entirely familiar to you, the nature of it, but this place does have an activity to it. You gather that the only thing you felt like this before was the it's almost like what happens right before a spirit makes itself known to you during a seance, but not quite.
All right, that is good to know for any future plans of introducing my new friends to what a seance is.
Absolutely. Would anybody else like to accomplish any business of any kind this evening before going to bed? Or maybe
on the drive up, Alistair would have been looking out, seeing if he can find any old historical, like aged buildings, some old buildings. So he would like to do a history check if possible.
So you are looking for old buildings, yeah?
Yeah.
Make a combination roll. We're doing a combo roll of spot hidden and history. So roll once and tell me how you fare against both of those.
Okay. 22. 22 on the history. Sorry, history 75 and spot hidden's 30.
Okay, so that is a hard success on history and a regular success on spot hidden. So yeah, you're able to clock a number of buildings that appear to be older than the rest of them. One, a house, as you are coming in, which appears to be one of the older buildings on the island, just based on the construction. And the lighthouse itself seems to be quite old.
Okay.
And also the you do pass by one church on the island. The local Methodist church seems to be at least 50 years old.
Fantastic.
Gertie, Ella, Chester, got to do anything this evening?
Just going to make sure that my room is empty and that my doors are locked tight.
All right. Give me a spot hidden roll.
I made a chair.
That's going to be a 93.
Seems empty.
I'm very relaxed about that. At least I'm locked in here with it, so.
It's locked in here with you.
I actually am also going to just tuck my Mauser Type 12 under my pillow as I go to sleep.
Roger.
Ella is. Does it seem like they're all on the same floor, like the winners of the contest, or are we all getting off at different floors? What sort of thing?
Question: as you enter into this resort, the first floor is mostly dedicated to entertainment activities, facilities for the guests, a restaurant, bar. There's a small, there is a very small pool, but mostly there's some, you notice some roped off area in the sea, or I guess it's in the, it's not the sea, it's in the Palmlico Sound behind the island, dedicated for swimming, a little private beach area. But the second and third floors are the primary guest areas, and all of you are housed. The The 4 contest winners are housed on the 3rd floor. Chester, your room is on the 2nd.
So then Ella, before they get to their rooms, she's going to approach Gertie before she enters hers. Gertie, a word? She kind of goes like this. She's like trying not to hiccup again.
Oh, sure, doll. What's up?
You really... She checks over her shoulder to make sure that Miss Vandergelt isn't in earshot. And she goes, you really believed what she was saying back there about the being able to talk to spirits?
Well, I'm not sure. Like, I'd hope so. I guess, like, I lost someone, and I would love to be able to talk to him again, but...
That was going to be my next question. You seemed really interested in what she had to say. I didn't want to pry at all, but... Well, we're going to be here for a little bit with each other, it seems like, so... Why not get to know each other?
Yeah, why not?
Well, I'm sorry for your loss.
Oh, it's okay. Things happen, you know. Wars and accidents. We all lose someone at some point.
Yeah, I suppose in our own ways. Well, you try to have a good night, as good as can be after, well, all of that, you know?
Yeah, after what we saw. You too. Maybe lock your doors tonight. I will be doing that myself.
She nods a good night, and she is going to take Gertie's advice and make sure that her doors are locked and that her room is relatively empty.
Make a spot hidden roll for me.
My spot hidden is, if I meet it, I got 55. So that is my spot hidden.
Yeah. So it's a regular success, and you spend a moment looking over the room, and it appears to be, apart from some very luxurious furniture, be empty. Nobody but you in there.
She's fairly satisfied with that, and she doesn't really have much with her, so she just kind of takes her hair out and cleans off her makeup, takes a glance out the window, and she heads to bed for the night.
Myself, I rolled a 31 and I rolled a 25.
And the room appears to be nothing out of the ordinary with it. And sleep eventually comes for all of you. How long it takes you to fall asleep can be entirely up to you based on the events of the day and how much alcohol you've had to drink. It is the morning. The night passes without incident. You all get relatively good night's sleep. Chester, you have a familiar dream, which have been getting more frequent as of late. And Alistair, you also have a rather unsettling dream. Just reliving the moment very briefly of when you first saw whatever that was swimming around the boat. But you can hear a voice too. Seems like it's coming from the entity, but it's too muddled. The water is too loud. The noise of the engine is too loud. You can't make out what it's saying. But apart from that restless bout, the night passes calmly in the waking world. And we rejoin our investigators in the morning. The smell of a kitchen just below 2 floors below your rooms in full gear, cooking up breakfast for however many guests there may be here, wafts to your nose. And some of you are hungover. I'll let you role play that however you want to. What would you like to do this morning? The day is yours.
I exit my room and I immediately look out for Madame Adeline. Is she anywhere in the vicinity?
Are you up yet?
Oh, I'm probably one of the last ones down.
All right.
I mean, first, a little hungover. Second, you've got to be fashionably late everywhere you go.
Fantastic. I'll make my way down to the breakfast room.
And there is just oh, thanks, Kaz. Alistair won the poll with 69 votes.
Nice.
Very nice. And I will keep that in mind as we go forwards. As you gaze upon the breakfast table, it is unknowable. Make a sanity roll. No. Yeah, there's just a smorgasbord of various different breakfast foods. Some more conventional ones that you might be used to from the north. You've got some oatmeal, bacon and eggs, and hotel pans. They've also got a plate of what looks like a pan of shrimp and grits, some biscuits and gravy, all the greatest breakfast hits available to you. And there's also a man at a station who is making omelets to order.
Oh, omelets! And he immediately makes his way over there.
May I interest you in an omelet, sir?
Oh! Is that I believe the Queen's English I hear?
Oh, yes, your ear is very well tuned, sir, and I believe I hear a hint of it on your voice as well.
A hint? I hope not. I'm fully steeped, sir. I will have ham and cheese omelet.
Ham and cheese, sir, yes, very good. And he gets to work cooking. Says, what brings another speaker of the Queen's English to such a small area?
Well, I was actually traveling here from the country, the UK, and coming here and looking at some fine books in Chicago, I believe is yes. And in Chicago, a friend of mine said, "Why don't you just put in for this little contest?" And I said, "I'm here for some time. Why not?" And well,
congratulations, sir.
Yes, here I am. Question.
Yes.
Any chance do you see headless bodies swimming around in the water around here?
Headless bodies, sir.
Yes, it's like this, but with none of that.
Well, yes, I understand the concept of a headless body, sir.
Yes. And quite lively. Swimming laps around a boat, you see.
I thought I saw such a thing once. I seemed to have been sort of a, I looked at it and was quite taken aback by the fright. And when I looked back, it was gone. So I believe it was just a trick of the fog.
Ah, yes. It's a trick of the fog. Yes. Well, how's that omelet coming along?
It's very nearly done, sir. And he just picks up the pan, gives it one of these, catches it back in the pan.
Lovely.
Takes a gentle bow and then puts it out onto a plate for you. Sit there. Your omelet, sir.
Thank you. What was your name?
I have written one down for this. That is, you may call me, Albert Thomas.
Lovely to meet you, Albert. He just takes his omelet and he goes to the nearest table, opens up his book and starts reading and eating.
Very good.
Could Ella have been just standing, sipping coffee nearby, kind of like a little bit discreetly, overhearing this conversation?
But you weren't trying to have this conversation particularly discreetly, so I'll say, yeah, you can overhear it.
Okay, so Ella is standing wherever coffee is being served, and she poured herself a cup and didn't move from that spot. She is planning on downing that one and then getting another coffee because her head is pounding at the moment. She's wearing high-waisted black trousers, and she has a long-sleeve shirt that looks fitted to her, but it's right now just kind of like loosely tucked into the front of her pants at the moment. Her hair's a little bit disheveled, and she hasn't really made much of a fuss with it. And she's going to then just watch this conversation happen, and then she pours another cup of coffee, grabs like a banana or something, and goes hobbling over to the table where Alistair sat down, kind of plants the banana on the table, screeches the chair away from the table to sit down. Yeah, she winces at it herself. That was not a good move. Morning. She sits down and starts taking another sip of coffee.
Good morning, Madam Ella.
Can you just, like, a little bit quieter? Yeah.
Yes, I can.
Thank you. Morning. Sorry.
So it was right. It's fine. It's fine. Just lost my page once you screeched out that chair, but it's fine.
Sorry about your book.
That's no problem. Just studying ancient Greek.
Did I would say I wasn't trying to listen, but I was actually trying to listen. You were in Chicago?
Yes, I was. Yes. I mean, I'm glad you overheard that, but my mother always told me, sorry, not mummy, I don't know where that came from. You always told me it's not nice to overhear people's conversations.
Yeah, you're the only person in here making noise.
Touche. Yes, I was in Chicago looking for some books.
Oh. Well, I'm from Chicago.
Oh! What part of Chicago?
This is where I quickly look up parts of Chicago and then recite to you guys.
The
Yes, it's
drumstick.
the part with all the bookstores.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
it auto-filled a chicken. Sorry.
Yeah. She lists some sort of area in Chicago.
Oh, lovely place. I've never been. So, Ella, may I ask, did you and Gertie come here together?
No, we just met. What makes you say that?
I just caught little conversations, as I'm going by, and just it seems like you are familiar with each other.
Well, when one person is going crazy, the other one's busy working, and then there's you.
I'm sorry, was that a little bit of glib coming back? Was that a little bit of, as the Americans call sass?
Just a little bit of jest. I have nothing against any of you. It's just she seems to be the one with her head on her shoulders the most.
Well, I never. Is there a way I can kind of do an insight check, as you can tell?
Yeah, that'll be a psychology roll.
Okay, I'll do a psychology.
On Ella.
Yeah, on Ella. I'm just trying to get a read, like that response from when I asked if her and Gertie knew each other previously. Oh, it was terrible. It's a 58, and I have a 5. So
She's just smiling at you.
Gertie would have actually been like listening to part of that. So as she sits down, she's just like, "It's because we're women."
Oh no. Quite the contrary. There's looking for connections. Well, maybe connections aren't there. He clearly feels backed into a corner right now, and he's just like, anyways.
Right.
At this time, Chester enters the room. Doesn't even look around at anyone, just sits at a table. And as one of the servers walks by, he just goes, "Irish coffee, please make it a double."
The usual then, Chester? And he starts
Yeah.
walking back to the kitchen to make that happen, and he comes back in a minute with a very large Irish coffee, and it is the Irish part that is double, not the coffee.
Yeah.
He knows your order.
He just kind of sits there, still just in this like cloud of gloom, sipping at it.
Anybody who looks around can see Chester come down, contemplating the finer points of his coffee. And
I think at this point, Adeline would come in, and she's in a lovely day gown, hair's perfectly done. And before she enters the room, and right before she comes in, pushes that hangover down, puts on a smile, because you always look your best,
absolutely,
and comes in.
Everybody who's in the room very briefly turns their attention toward Adeline. One of the things they teach you at Cotillion is how to make an entrance. And Adeline, it seems, took that lesson to heart. And what would you like to do?
I will get some coffee, and also, you only ever eat seafood when you can see the sea from your window, so I will have some shrimp and grits this morning.
It is excellent. Very fresh. Fresh out of the bay. Do you join with the others, or do you get your own table?
No, I'll come join the others.
As Madame Adeline comes, as a refined British schoolboy, he immediately stands up, and you hear like the chair, and he gets up. He's like, "Good morning."
I feel like all of us are like,
"Good morning, Madame Adeline, please sit down. Thank you." And I wait for her to sit down before I sit down.
"What a gentleman."
Oh, thank you. That's my father shipped me off to that school, and I learned something.
I didn't get that kind of treatment.
Well, you did interrupt me in the middle of my book.
Are we allowed to smoke in here? Is that a thing? Yeah, okay. So she just, in response, lights a
It's
cigarette.
the 1920s. You got 60 years to smoke wherever you want.
There are a few people in here besides your own table. Some of the other guests, some of the other sweepstakes winners. There's some light conversation going on as people are starting to filter in. It looks like some of the locals might be coming out as well. There's some people who aren't quite as nicely dressed. It has the atmosphere of a place that's getting ready for a party. There's some anticipation going on, and some decorations like halfway set up. People getting a jump on getting ready for tomorrow's festivities.
I will say, I do believe tonight is the night. Before the festivities begin tonight, you will all finally get to know what a seance is. Before I went to sleep last night, I felt vibrations in the air. The air is rife with spiritual activity.
Is it so?
Well, certainly.
Make me a Adeline, can you make me either a history or occult or natural world roll?
History and occult are both the same. And I got a hard success.
Fabulous. You know, because of your great interest in the occult, the paranormal, and whatever else may lie beyond, that Sunday, June 21st, the day of the big party kicking off, so just tomorrow, is the summer solstice, and it's a point at which it's a little bit easier to crack through the barrier between the worlds. The closer you get to that solstice, the easier it is.
Tonight is most certainly the best night, especially if we wait until midnight, as tomorrow is the solstice after all.
You said that you can contact anyone that you want to, if you have a guide.
Mm-hmm. And if the one on the other side is willing, of course.
She looks over at Gertie with a bit of a knowing glance, and then just kind of like tilts her head in the direction of Adeline. Is there maybe anything you want to ask Miss Adeline, Gertie?
Oh no, I couldn't impose her. No.
Gertie, is there someone you want to contact?
Well, yeah, his name's Joseph. We were very close, but he died last year, unfortunately.
Oh, I'm so sorry for your loss. But
Thank
the
you.
stronger the connection, the easier it is to make contact.
So we've said.
Well, we have our time. We have our who we are seeking. All the now is to wait.
Now, it is about 10 a.m. at this point. Midnight is quite a ways away. There was some, I believe, Alistair, you had inquired about a book from Miss Vandergelt. You had also expressed interest in visiting the Historical Society. If there's anything else anybody would like to do on their vacation.
Ella is just trying to actually enjoy life here, so even if she doesn't, even if it's not as fun to do stuff with the very few people who are currently here, she's going to take advantage of all of the amenities that there are at the hotel.
Let me know if at any point you decide to go swimming.
What a fucking statement.
If that is an amenity at the hotel, she does. Yes.
All right.
Like,
Okay.
I
think-
don't like this.
Yeah, I think Adeline would go swimming.
All right.
So would Gertie.
Oh no.
Girl trip to meet Cthulhu in the water.
Alistair, you want to go swimming?
No. I believe. Oh, yes. Hold on. I have an appointment with Ruth at the Historical Society, and he pops his cane, which actually is a little umbrella. He's like, just make sure the sun doesn't ruin this complexion. It's very harsh over here.
Did you just open that inside?
Yes.
That's terribly bad luck.
But, I mean, Albert, is this true?
That is a belief. Yes.
Huh. Wait, are you still at the omelet bar? You're just hanging out there.
Shouts across the room. Yes, I do believe some people are superstitious with opening umbrellas indoors, sir.
Interesting. Chester, I mean, if you would like, you could accompany me to the historical society, or you can go swimming with the other madams. It's up to you.
I mean, one does seem more fun than the other.
I know the historical society is riveting.
You probably need a ride, don't you?
Well, these legs won't take me far.
Well, all right then. I'll get myself together.
Right then. Ladies, it is a
I'm
mandate. And
3 beautiful women will be by sometime in the near future to go swimming.
and I hit him on the side of the shoulder. I'm like, come, don't worry about it. It's fine. It's going to be a great time. Did I ever tell you about Odysseus? I was reading it in this book here. And then we just immediately start walking off.
Yeah, he lets Alistair lead him on very, very reluctantly.
I don't know where I'm going. I could just get to the car at least.
You know where the car is. It hasn't moved since last night.
There's headless bodies swimming in the water, and never know.
I assure you, that's not something you need to worry about.
Yes. Well, let's crack
And
on,
cars
shall we?
stay exactly where you put them, believe it or not.
Fascinating.
All right, he's gonna take him to the car and
All
drive him into the historical society.
Easy enough to do. It's not too far from here. Nothing is too far from anywhere on this island. Just a short jaunt down North Point Road, turning onto the very appropriately named British Cemetery Lane to get back out to the main drag.
He slows down there and he goes, "Any of your relatives?"
You see the road. He points to the street sign that says British Cemetery Road as he drives by.
None of my family would be caught dead here. No.
You're here.
Hey, but he's alive.
Touche, Chester. How about you keep both hands on the steering wheel, huh?
Why, does it scare you when I do this? And he lights a cigarette, steering with his knee.
Good God!
Driving.
Let's
you
roll for
doing?
driving.
Fun.
That is a regular success.
Yeah, it's fine. Just keeps it perfectly straight down the middle of the road while lighting a cigarette with both hands and driving with one knee.
Wow. So, I'm getting that you know how to do this with the car.
Well, yes, actually, it's kind of the thing I built my life on once upon a time.
Oh.
You ever hear of the Grand Prix? Oh, you might be more familiar with Le Mans. Out in Paris?
Oh, yes. I was never one of those motorized men. But there are friends of mine, yes, that have taken part in these motor vehicle derbies, right?
Derbies, yes, that's one way to put it. Well, I was doing very well in the Grand Prix. I got a sponsor to take me out to France, where I was to compete in the Le Mans, and I was going to blow them all away, but some unpleasantness happened, and I'm back here, and driving is more of a pastime now.
That feels like there's more behind there, but I just don't want to push you and pry you for it, but let me tell you, I'm here for support.
I'll give you this one piece of advice. When you happen upon something in this world that doesn't have an immediate and understandable explanation, walk the other fucking way. Don't start prodding it. Don't ask questions. Don't even acknowledge it.
Interesting.
Trust me, you'll live longer that way.
Very well, then. Very well. Thank you.
Chester takes a sip of his whiskey in the car.
He takes a sip of his whiskey that is in the... He actually has a flask in his jacket. So.
Oh, here, give me some of that
actually,
too.
here we
It's
go.
1920s. It's fine.
Driving laws haven't been invented yet.
There's only one other working car on the island, and she's not using it right now. It'll be fine.
But you drive past the dock a little bit ways, back the same way you came in. The lighthouse is visible to you in the distance in the daylight now. All the fog has burned off. It is a beautiful, a little bit hot summer day, but there's a nice breeze blowing in off the sea, making it much more bearable. After about 20 minutes, you arrive out front of the building that you, Chester, know to be home to the Historical Society. It is a small one-story affair. Looks like a converted house. There's a slightly worn sign, like it needs a fresh coat of paint. It says Ocracoke Island Historical Society out front.
Here we are.
I feel like it's unlikely I've ever been here.
Fair enough. I would say you would know where it is.
Yeah, I know where it is. Yeah. But yeah, all right. Well, I guess this is where we find out about the histories.
Lovely. There's no line. Let's go.
He swings from his phone.
Bring it in. It's fine. Just for a little nip of it every now and then. It might just keep things a little more interesting.
My new goal in this leg of the journey is to secretly try to get him drunk.
Understood.
I enter in. I go right in.
Go right in, and at first, this building in this front room that you come into looks like a little bit of reception. There's like a hand carved wooden map of the island with important points, like a little bit of a topographical layout in this room. It's not the most detailed, but it looks like whoever built this put a great deal of care into it. And in the back, there's shelves upon shelves upon shelves of books visible behind like a almost like a not quite jail bars, but like just like a little security room designed, to keep people from just wandering in all willy-nilly. Some of them looking quite old nautical charts and various historic artifacts. It looks like there's a large chunk of wood inside of a glass case in this room as well. And after a moment of you walking around, you can hear footsteps coming from behind one of the shelves coming through. Hello, is somebody there?
Hello?
Just a moment. And you can hear some shuffling and a thump as though a book has been dropped.
Chester's like, oh, you've got a moment. Take a sip.
I'll have just a little one. Just a little sip. I know.
Make a con roll. At this point, I will give you a bonus die. So roll. That's essentially rolling your 10s with advantage.
Okay. And take the lower if it's at advantage?
Correct.
So it was a 9.
Oh, yeah.
And I have 60
Good.
con.
Yeah, you're fine. Not drunk yet. Keep trying.
We'll get you there. I got a couple bottles in the trunk, so
yeah.
You need them for me because I'm one of those rapscallions.
I mean, I will also prohibition, and everybody seems to have liquor everywhere on this island. So the law has not quite gotten out here yet.
The fact that there was a bar on the ship, I'm like, they don't give a shit about the laws here.
There's like 300 people that live on this whole island, and everyone knows everyone.
Everyone's drunk.
Oh yeah, there's something else to do. But after just a short moment, maybe 30 seconds, an older woman who is dressed rather conservatively, as was the style at the time in the South, comes out with some little glasses down here and some like long chain on the glasses going around her head. Now, can I help you with something?
By any chance, is your name Ruth?
Why, I am Ruth, and I know everybody on this island, and I do not know who you are.
Alistair Truscott, lovely to meet you.
It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance. What
Fairly
brings you...
certain you don't know me either, and I actually live here.
He looks you up now. You look familiar.
You ever see that black blur going across your tiny little...
You're the one who drives that
this is.
tremendously noisy thing.
That's right.
But, Alistair, was it?
Yes. Of the Truscotts, yes.
Bruce Lizzie, director of the Historical Society here. Welcome. What brings you here today? What can we do?
Ruth, I am a person and a lover of the history.
Oh, yes.
I heard some stories from Owen, was it?
Oh, yes. Yeah,
This was
with the resort.
Yes, it was on top of an old Civil War military base.
Oh, yes. This island is quite awash in history.
But I have to stop you because what is that lovely piece over there? And he points to the large piece of wood in the glass.
Oh, that is the pride of our collection. That is a fragment of a hull of a ship that used to call these waters home. Are you familiar with any of the legends or the historical accounts of the pirates that went up and down in these waters some several hundred years ago?
I am afraid I am not, but I've heard from the other contest winners and Mr. Chester over here that there were pirates here at one point.
That's true, and that we believe, as best as our historical society can determine, is a fragment of the hull of the Queen Anne's Revenge.
Now I know that one. That is Blackbeard, is it not?
That is this.
Yes.
This island and the Beaufort Inlet out there is the very place where he made his final stand in 1718.
Really?
Yes. Now, they've never found the whole wreck.
So it's still out there, as they're saying.
That's what... It's got to be somewhere if they never found it.
Above water, right?
I should certainly hope not.
Chester,
Yes.
can you swim?
I can swim as well as any normal adult can.
I'll ignore that. I mean, I can swim. I just don't like being in the water.
I wasn't attacking you in any way. I'm
It
just
felt
saying.
directed.
I'm just saying I'm not an Olympic swimmer of some kind. I'm very fast in a vehicle and I'm very normal in water with nothing around me.
Yes. Fair enough. I apologize. Sorry. Now, Ruth, darling, is this you say it was his last stand.
Yes.
What was it that did him in?
Well, the history of Mr. Edward Teach, for whom the channel out near the harbor takes its name. If you look on any of the maps here, you see it marked as Teach's Channel. He met his end on this very island on November the 22nd of 1718. The combination of gunshot wounds, being stabbed, allegedly had his head cut off and his body thrown into the river.
Well, that would do it.
Head cut off, you say?
Yeah, they kept. Now, the captain of the ship that took him in did take his head and put it on a pike in the harbor as a lesson to any other ships that were passing that might consider piracy. But yeah, it's a very early morning raid by some of the colonial government.
Now, is that site where you can visit where his head was displayed? Is it somewhere around here?
The exact location of it has been lost to time. But now.
But there might be some documents around here that might finally give us a little bit of an idea, eh, Ruth?
Well, there may be. I know. I think that's. She looks around a little bit as if to see if anybody's watching. I've got a suspicion that I think Mr. Gaskill. I know he's got some sort of archaeological find that he's planning to unveil as a tourist attraction. I don't know what it is exactly, but he's been doing an awful lot of digging underneath that building he's got. And there was some sort of strange ship with all kinds of cranes and ropes hanging off of it, anchored out in Teach's Channel for a couple of weeks, some months back. I think he's found something, but he won't tell me what it is.
Interesting. Ruth, once again, and I take her hand and I say, greatly appreciate all the help you've given me here. I'm just going to look around here with my friend Chester. Isn't that right, Chester?
Oh, yes. I'm completely enamored with the...
He's a little bit of a novice.
Things.
Don't worry. We'll win him over.
I'm so glad I'm not at the pool with those young women who won the contest.
I know, right? Just out in the sun, putting yourself in danger in the waters. But I would have a great day, madam. I'm actually going to go around and can I do just a quick history roll to see if I can pick up anything in regards to Teach's Harbor there and any sort of maps or caves, hovel system sort of in a way? Cave system, sorry.
History to recall things you already know, library use to find out new things.
Well, don't worry about that. I am a nerd. Now let me show you my real skills, Chester. The Dewey Decimal System. So it's a 47 on a 75.
Okay. Is that a hard success yet? What's your half?
I think that's still a regular.
Oh no, that's regular skill. Sorry.
I'm good at math. So that was a 47, you said?
Yep.
All right. And that's going to take you about half an hour to peruse the stacks to find something. So at this time, we will cut back to the ladies at the pool or whatever they're doing.
So Ella probably she probably took some time to do other things at the hotel for a bit and then would have prompted the others or at least told them that she was going to the pool, but then she went up to her room, got changed, and she actually brings her duffel bag of stuff with her to the pool. And when she gets in, she's just kind of lightly treading, enjoying the water sort of thing.
And our lovely wool swimsuits with full-length wool stockings because it's the 1920s. I don't know if we've moved to knee-length skirts yet at this point in history.
Well, if, being a dilettante, Miss Vandergelt would have access to all the highest fashion from all around the world. So if she wishes to pioneer the knee-length skirt bathing suit.
Yes, we'll cause a scandal in this tiny little southern town. Ankles, heaven forbid.
An occasional gasp as you walk by. So, are we sitting by the pool or are we sitting by the ocean? There's swimming areas at both.
I think I was thinking ocean.
What would Gertie say to that?
Gertie would probably say the ocean also.
So then Ella makes a little bit of a comment about like, well, I guess if we don't mind headless people swimming around, and but she goes to the ocean anyway.
And there's a number of loungers with umbrellas sat out next to them near the seaside. A couple of changing booths for people who don't want to change in the hotel and have to go through all the scandal of walking through the lobby in a swimsuit. God. But you can hear there is there's what sounds by their accents to be two locals who are complaining about how the beach isn't quite as nice as it used to be before that Gaskill fellow started doing all of his digging around here. And you do notice the water is here is not clear like you might expect to be in like a tropical setting. This is more temperate, still very hot, very like subtropical, you might call it. The water is it's blue but very cloudy. You cannot see the bottom once it gets more than like a foot and a half deep. But there are people out there swimming about, seeming to enjoy themselves.
I just Googled it. In the 20s, we were at knee length for everyone, so...
Right.
And some people had the tank top sewn to the swimming shorts thing as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so you...
Either way, it beats the fucking historical museum. That's all I'm saying.
Is there anything you would like to do other than enjoy a lovely day lounging by the seaside?
Does this resort have like a spa or any spa facilities?
Yeah. There is a small... I'm trying to like figure out the layout in my head and figure out where it would go. And there is a small spa. It's not... It's nothing like any of the European hotels you've stayed at or any of the finest in New York, but it is serviceable based on what you've seen by walking by it. Because you could get some steam, or perhaps some sort of massage treatment.
And I will share that with the girls. I think perhaps before dinner this evening, after our day in the sun, we should enjoy some of the spa facilities.
Never had anything like that before. I suppose if everything's all paid for, I might as well.
Yeah, we might as well indulge ourselves.
Live life to the fullest, girls.
With that, Ella gets a little bit of a mischievous grin on her face and just nods, and she tosses her bag down by the water, and she's just gonna like fully run into the water and just like dive in, like not thinking about how it might be cold or anything like that. She makes a big splash.
Yeah, the water here is quite warm at this time of year.
Nice.
And as you're swimming on the back side of the island, it is sheltered from the sea currents. It is very calm, very little current, very few waves. It is a very nice place to swim, even with the little bit of murk that's going on.
Gertie would watch this and then just do the same. Throw down her towel and her bag and just run right in.
Yeah. Do one of those things where you just keep running until the water
knocks you over, basically.
Yeah, until you can't actually run and your top half is moving faster than your lower half. Right in, and I think frolicking might be the appropriate word for a little while, and There's all kinds of wildlife that you can see visible, seabirds flying overhead. Even off in the distance, every so often, you can see a dolphin spout up in the creek behind the island, and it is extraordinarily pleasant.
I think after that initial like splash into the water, she just kind of comes up and she's laughing and kind of taking everything in because she's never been able to afford anything like this before. And she just kind of like flops down on her back and is just now like staring up at the sky, enjoying herself until everyone decides that it's time to go and do this spa thing.
Nice. So after a little frolicking, we'll cut, unless there's anything else y'all want to do first, we'll cut back to the Historical Society.
Nope.
While Ruth has given us time to look around, Chester has prompted Alistair to have a couple more swigs from the flask.
Do you partake?
I partake in another one, but not the other after that.
So this is the third swig. So do me a con, but just regular. No bonus or penalty die.
Ooh. 72 on a 60.
You're a little bit buzzed.
No, if you would listen to me for a second, I'm
listening. This is fascinating stuff. I just find that the drink helps to elevate the profundity of this historical significance.
Oh yes, I mean we're living like the pirates. We're having a little drink while we're just rummaging through things. I love it, but at the same time, you can't spill anything on the books. Do you understand?
Of course, what they were drinking was much stronger than what we have. So maybe just one more.
I can't right now. I can't.
Okay, well, tell me about this one then.
All right, so you got yourself a regular success, and you find a number of topographical maps and some books on the history, accounts, even a diary that is purported to have been written contemporaneously by someone who was alive around 1720. Difficult to determine the authenticity given the state that it's in, but it seems to be old enough. There are no grottos or caves or anything like that around here. It's all sand all the way down, and very thick mud in the marsh. But there are a lot of sandbars and navigational hazards that pervade the waters around here. And looking at the different nautical charts over time, they move with the currents. So looking at the oldest chart you can find, which is about 30 years old, or 30 years newer, than the date at which Blackbeard allegedly made his last stand here on this island, there would have been a very nice place to land a boat approximately where the Palmlico Seaside Resort stands today.
Interesting. Chester, don't you think it's weird that your employer built right on there, and there was an old naval base there too before, or military base, sorry, and that's what the ship was. Listen,
what are the odds?
It'd be a fun time is if we grab all the madams and we go looking for pirate treasure. How fun would that be?
Okay, well now you've crossed from light entertainment into the best fucking idea you've ever had.
I
gotta
know. Maybe it was a little bit of the drink itself, but we have to keep it quiet, all right? We can't tell Owen. By the way, he is your employer, is he not?
Yeah, I mean,
You're like you have like a contract arrangement with him.
yeah, like I mean, I wouldn't say that I've signed my life away to him, but you know, he employs my services here. I get to play with the engines and keep things running, and in return, I get to enjoy paradise away from the depths of the Atlantic Ocean. You know?
But you know, that's oddly specific or Pacific.
I see what you did there. Have another one.
No, I'm good. Maybe when we find the pirate treasure. How about what he's digging there, isn't he?
Well, that's what Ruth said, but I wouldn't know anything about that. I just drive around and I let the ferry back and forth, and
I see you. But that means there's digging equipment there. I will switch into something a little bit more adventure-y, and we can...
Wait, are you suggesting a costume change? Is that what you're bringing up here?
Of course, I always bring an extra spare archaeology suit with me.
Archaeology suit.
It's just
what is an
khakis.
archaeology suit?
Well, I'm sorry. It's just khakis and, you know, just light items like that. That's
You know what? I've actually been putting together a look myself. Maybe we'll go back and we'll change, and then we'll get the ladies and we'll see what this whole pirate thing is about.
excellent. Ruth, if she's around, I'm like, thank you so much for your hospitality and your kindness to us. Do you have any like little souvenir shop around, something I could take with me?
No, the tourism is a relatively new industry to this island, thanks to Mr. Gaskill. You could stop by Al's General Store if you'd like.
Is there anything?
They have there might be like a can of milk or something. It's more of a sundries and supplies rather than souvenirs. But
I would like to. Is it a lot to ask if I could take one of these artifacts and just bring it home with me?
this is make a persuasion check, and this is gonna be hard.
Oh God. Oh, it is a flat 80 on a 15. That ain't happening.
I appreciate your interest in our history, but I'm afraid these artifacts are property of the town and are not for sale.
And he bangs his cane umbrella, and it pops up. He's like, "Well, then, good day to you."
Now, if you do ever want, as she's like waving as you go, if you do ever want to do any more research, you're welcome back.
Well, thank you, darling. Chester, you're good to drive, aren't you?
I'm always good to drive.
Right, then let's take off.
The pause was so long, I was like, am I muted? And do you need me to make a driving check because I've been drinking all morning?
Yeah, why not?
Seems reasonable at this point.
You're gonna fumble one of these eventually.
Nope, still a regular success.
Yeah, you're fine. Yeah, there's really not a whole lot to hit.
Yeah, it's literally like a 7 out of 100 chance I fuck this up.
Yeah.
So.
And you head back to the resort without incident. At this point, the ladies are still by the water, frolicking, talking about utilizing the spa services, seance planning, that sort of thing.
As one does.
Yeah, you know, little swimming, little spa, little seance.
So we're getting a little bit late here. I did want to be conscious of the fact that a lot of people have to get up in the morning. Is there anything we want to do before the seance?
We do a montage of all of the women just having a blast at the beach and doing their spa thing. I know Ella would look severely uncomfortable as she is getting like these face masks and stuff, but she eventually does seem like she's having fun. I don't know how everyone else is feeling about that.
The services are okay.
It's nothing like the Astoria.
No.
All right. So we montage the very relaxing day away. Dinner is table service for dinner. Breakfast is a little bit more of a buffet style. It is all very excellent food, featuring some of the local delicacies, fresh from the ocean. Lots of seafood on this menu.
Very briefly, I imagine that Alistair and Chester get back to the hotel and they run to their rooms and they come out and they're both dressed exactly like Indiana Jones. And they're like, well, somebody has to change. And then they end up both just having to change back because it's not fair to anyone else.
And
then, go ahead.
You're going to go adventuring, trying to find some pirate treasure?
I feel like we tried to convince the ladies to, but they're like, we'll get to that.
Mm-hmm.
And like, we have to just kind of live through their day now.
Understood. So the evening comes, getting on close to midnight now. Where would you like to conduct this seance, Adel?
Probably downstairs, because we need a good-sized table that we can all fit around.
There are private rooms available, like a conference room, event room sort of thing that you could take advantage of if you would like to.
And we'll use one of those.
All right. Oh, thanks, Val.
You bastard. I'm kidding, I love you, but still, fuck you.
And yeah, you're able to find one of these rooms that is not in use. It seems like most people right now are occupying themselves with the bar and some light gambling going on in the main room.
And Chester is again making subtle comments about how, oh yeah, no, this is way more fun than drinking and gambling.
I will begin setting up candles, and I think, Alistair, you will notice that I'm carrying a very old book.
Oh. Is that the book, the French book you brought up?
It is.
Are you using it tonight? I don't know if you know this, but Blackbeard's on this island. See if we can get him. Yes, think about it.
Blackbeard. The pirate.
Yes, the pirate. Yes.
On this island.
Yes, at the Historical Society. That's what I learned. That there's pirates here. He's saying it very quiet, low tones.
Well, we will put him down for the contact number 2.
Oh, there's a list. Of course,
Yeah.
yes.
Blackbeard has to join the waiting list just like everyone else, all right?
Yeah.
I understand.
Would it be psychology to like see, is he just like a little drunk and like pirate happy? Just is he convinced that Blackbeard is really here?
Yeah, you could make a psychology roll for that, or you could make a history roll,
Okay, let's do histories.
or both.
I will spend 2 luck points to make that a success for history.
So yeah, in your studies, you would have come across you doing a little bit of light reading upon receiving the notice that you had won this vacation. You'd done a little bit of light reading on the local history as best you could, and you would have found out with a regular success that shortly after sacking the port of Charleston and refusing the governor's pardon, Blackbeard did make his way north to try to figure out what to do next, and did meet his end somewhere in the waters off of North Carolina. The exact location has been, as far as you know, up for debate, but it is plausible.
All right, then. All right, now, I know there's some unbelievers amongst the party, but I need you all to be open and receptive to what might make an appearance tonight.
Ella rolls her eyes a little bit. But then she's like, "Ugh, okay, how do I be receptive?" And she's like trying to hold her hands out and like being open posture.
We will all join hands. Now try to let go. Chester, you too.
I'm not so sure I want to. Maybe I'll just observe.
Come on.
You a little bit
Come on,
scared.
Chester.
I wouldn't say that. I just, I'm not
That's
so
right.
sure
If
about
little old me can handle the spirits, certainly you can.
Oh, you're all just goading my masculine ego. I get it. And he puts a cigarette in his mouth and he holds hands with everyone.
So you start the seance. You're using the book that you have as a guide.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
who of everyone who's not Adeline, who is actually trying to open your mind?
I am.
Give me a second.
Okay, that's a tough question. Because I'll lay it out on the line out of character. Chester very much doesn't want to fuck with anything outside of the norm. He has had it with that shit. But there's a very small and powerful part of him who's like, there's somebody I would very much like to hear from.
Ella, she's really having a hard time mentally with this. And then she finally just relaxes her shoulders and she looks over at Adeline. So if we're not open, this doesn't work, and maybe Gertie doesn't get to talk to the person. Is that right?
Well, it certainly makes it easier if we are all receptive to the spirits that are trying to make themselves known.
Okay. She thinks about what she saw on the boat. Like, maybe there is something, and she finally like latches onto that enough to try.
So we've got 3. Is Chester gonna try, or is he just gonna kind of sit there and go through the motions? You can go for it if you want.
Let's roll for it. Is there like a skill that might apply to this, or
Nope.
I just rolled a d20 and decided on that.
Yeah.
all right? I don't even want to know. That's the thing. He's so conflicted that I'm
tower.
conflicted.
Okay.
So basically, you're getting an 11.
Okay.
It's entirely up to you which way that goes.
Understood. And Alistair, you raised your hand, and so did Gertie. So with an 11, I'll say, Adeline, please make an occult roll. What's your occult score?
50.
Add. For the purposes of this, let's say you're using the book, you've got the chalk, you've got the candles. Add 20 to that, and then roll with 4 bonus dice. So roll the D100, and then roll the 10s 4 more times and pick the lowest one.
Oh my gosh, it's on the gold and I can't tell what number that is. Okay. You write these down.
I just realized, did some of your bobby pins come out?
Oh, probably.
So,
It's from all the spa.
Yeah, the spa, they had to undo your...
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay, so 4 and take the lowest?
Yeah.
Okay, so the lowest was 35.
35 out of... Now we're running this off of 7.
Now we're running at 70, so that would have been a hard success.
That's going to be a hard success. So you all join hands around this table as Adeline starts reading out of the book. Does anybody speak French besides her?
Specifically, like, 13th century French.
Right.
I don't think so.
Yeah, no.
Chester knows a little bit of French because he was in Paris for like a few weeks,
Yeah.
but that's it.
Where's the bar? Sort of.
Yeah. Like he knows how to ask for the toilet in the bar, and that's
Yeah.
about it.
Can I have your number?
But
Are you married?
the important questions. I think, Vix, it might be time for the other playlist.
Okay.
Oh no.
That made me so uncomfortable. My
Yeah.
whole body just clenched.
I saw. So you think, you open your minds. Gertie, you think about this individual who you lost just a year ago. Ella, you think about the strange entity that you saw swimming around the boat. Alistair, you think of Blackbeard the pirate and all of the mythology and the legend and the lore that surrounds him. Chester, what are you thinking about?
Well, there was a young woman who was very important to Chester at one time. And, well, they got wrapped up in something dark and chaotic. And though they got out of that, they still lost each other through some terrible means. And his mind goes back to her.
And Adeline, what are you thinking about?
Just being open to the spirit world and trying to convince everyone what I know to be real is real.
Okay. Make a roll. So you're all sitting around there with your eyes closed, and then you feel almost like electricity in the air, and all of your eyes shoot open, and Adeline's kind of got her head back like this, staring up at the sky, almost in a trance, speaking now out, not in French, in something else. And there is, above the book, sitting on the table, the pages start to flip themselves as there's like a wind blowing up in this room, and a very localized wind. Nothing else is disturbed besides your hair, your clothes, and the things immediately on the table. A light and a ripple start to appear in the air above the book, and there is a sudden flash of a greenish light, and there is before you a larger, maybe 2 or 3 feet tall, a disembodied head with long, matted hair, smoke around it, billowing, staring off into the distance. And it appears to be, to each one of you, it appears to be looking directly into your eyes. And it says, you hear it say, "Find me." And it just whooshes out of the room and kind of splats against the wall like that, and goes through it like that scene in Ghostbusters. And there's just like this ichor on the wall there.
Very much broke the immersion.
I was trying to lighten it up a little bit. Might have gone too far the other way. It's like Slimer. Just. You're welcome. I need everybody to make a save roll.
Oh no, I am not good at these. I am not good at these.
Alright. Which one was it? Sorry.
Sanity.
Sanity.
Sanity? Oh yeah, I failed that.
Success.
I also failed.
As
I'm
fitting as
pretty
this
sure
is,
that's a hard failure for me.
Oh, cool.
How much
fitting
is a
is-
hard failure?
Double.
Okay.
Double? Oh.
If you roll less, actually no, it's just a regular.
Is a failure just a failure?
Yeah, it's either
Okay.
failure or fumble. If it's opposed, there can be degrees, but
Okay.
just for the purposes.
Well, I have a 98. I don't know what like,
Oh, what's your total
Ye-
sanity?
47.
Oh yeah, that's a fumble. Then yeah. If your skill is under 50, 96 to 100 is a critical failure. So
Okay.
you do critical
There you-
fail.
Yeah.
I got a 12 on a 63.
Okay.
I told you I'm not good at these.
So Chester, everybody who failed will receive. Oh, this is gonna be fun. Will receive 6 points of sanity damage, and except for Chester, who critically failed, you will lose 9.
That is,
Or
I believe that is more than 1/5 of my total.
you had 45. That is, I think, that is.
I had 47.
You had 47. Pretty close. That is 19% of your total, so you're good.
It is. That's more than 1/5, isn't
That's
it?
20.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Numbers are hard.
Numbers.
I'm in the mindset of going below. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I know it's weird. It's weird. So you just barely skirt out a indefinite madness, but
Holy shit.
but everybody who failed does go very briefly, probably bonkers. Chester and Ella, and actually everybody who failed, make an intelligence roll, please. Alistair, oddly unfazed.
Because I saw a pirate.
You do take 1 point of sanity damage.
Holy
I
shit.
failed the insanity or the intelligence check monumentally too.
Fabulous.
It's gonna be a 93 for me, and I have a 70.
Excellent.
You're at a 35 and I have a 70.
Okay. Did you fail your?
No, I succeeded the sanity.
Okay. So
Do I take a point?
you take 1 point of sanity damage. This is fortunately you want to fail these rolls. So Chester and Ella, you do not quite understand the profundity.
My mind is more broken, but I don't comprehend. So I'm just like, I don't know.
It's
guys.
weird. It's creepy, but you don't really understand the profundity of it. Gertie, though, you do. You know what you saw yesterday was not a trick of the mist. You certainly don't think so. Can you roll a d10 for me?
I really feel like Chester is like, he is intentionally not knowing things at this point. He's been through so much. He's just like, I don't want to know. I don't care. This will break my mind, but as long as I don't think about it, everything will be fine.
Once again, much the similar way to what happened with Alistair on the boat, you break down in an attack of paranoia.
I'm not going to act that, I'm sorry.
But what does Gertie do sitting around the table with these individuals that are just not properly responding to what the hell just happened?
She would probably start like mumbling Joseph, who was like the person who she had wanted to see, and just like completely like freaked out.
Yeah, so she's just sitting there, kind of rocking back and forth a little bit, just muttering, "Joseph, it wasn't Joseph. It's not Joseph."
Yeah.
Don't you get it? They're gone. You can't bring them back. This is completely nonsense. I can't do this.
Chester, are you okay?
I don't like this shit. I don't like it.
We just got confirmation of the other side.
Did you?
Did you not see what was just above us?
The stain is still on the wall, even though the atmosphere in the room has lightened. The candles relit themselves after
Remember
blown out.
Remember what I told you. This isn't what you think it is. This isn't some joyful, loving human being from the other side trying to show you they care. This is death. This is hell. Stop playing with it.
This wasn't meant. This was just meant to have a good time, and I don't
Look at
understand.
her. Look at her. Remember feeling like that? Was that a good time for you?
No, it wasn't.
You're all playing games with evil. Pure
Oh,
evil.
there are always risks involved, but it's nothing a cup of tea can't fix for Gertie.
Trust me. A cup of tea won't fix anything. And he kicks a candle and he fucking leaves.
You like roundhouse kick the top of the table to get to the candles.
Yeah. Yeah, like legit, like he fucking like fully like high kicks a candle.
He's still at his Indiana Jones whip.
No, he had to
fucking yeah.
change because it wasn't fair to Alistair if one of them did to Warrior.
Yeah, but you brought the whip.
Yeah, he saw the whip. Yeah.
Jeffrey, can you make a luck roll for me, please?
Fuck. Oh, that's pretty good. That's a success.
Hell yeah. So as you kick the candle over, it goes out and does not catch the table on fire.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then he angrily leaves and slams the door.
All right. Chester has stormed off. Gertie is sitting there, rocking back and forth, saying Joseph, and there is an unknowable stain on the wall.
Ella
As there
has
is in most hotels.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Ella has her hand on Gertie's shoulder, just trying to comfort her a little bit, and she looks over at Adeline's like suspiciously. Right, you have my attention now. What the hell is that? And she points to all of the goop on the wall.
Do I have any knowledge of what the group could be?
God, I love TTRPGs because they prompt questions like that.
That's what I was
Keeps me
thinking.
curious.
Can you imagine hearing that question in any other context?
Right. Make you can make me a Cthulhu Mythos roll against the book.
Okay, so just roll, and I'm trying to get below the book.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's not great. I got a 73.
That's not great.
Trying to get below a 36.
You can try and push your roll if you want to.
What would happen if I pushed it?
Well, it's a Mythos roll, so probably nothing good if you fail.
Yo.
Yep. You don't want to fail that again.
I know, but yeah, we're at the point in the night where I'm like, no one's
Do it.
pushed anything yet. Let's do it.
All right, that roll, and you dive into the book.
And I got a 12 that time. So
You dive into the book, and that is a hard success, I believe. One page after the other, reading as fast as you've ever read before, almost as if the book is like you're not even actively reading it anymore. The book is like transferring knowledge into you. It's quite strange to look at, but the exact nature of the residue is like it's not of this earth. What this is, it's some sort of when objects or creatures or entities that are not supposed to be here interact with this page of reality in some way, often there's some sort of decay or residue or damage that is done by that, and gather that this is like it kind of it didn't necessarily leave something. It more of took part of the wall with it, and it like kind of melted documented it. There's like reports of this happening in this book when the contact with otherworldly entities happened.
It was created when the spirit passed through the wall.
And I'd say with a hard success, you would gather, it'd be a reasonable assumption to make with a hard success that if it kept going, there would probably be more of these wherever it went through objects. Or
Now
something.
there's a chance we could follow the spirit based on the trail it's left.
She turns to Gertie and just like shakes her a little bit. Gertie, you all right in there?
After a few minutes of this, you're starting to regain yourself.
She would just like put her hand on Ella's hand. They nod slightly.
Now, Gertie dear, that doesn't mean he's not out there.
Well, I mean, so are we going to find this person or what though? Like, he told us to do something.
I believe that was Blackbeard. Of course, we should find him. It seems like his head is somewhere in the vicinity.
Well, then we start with the next room and see where this trail of slime leads.
I do just want to do one thing first, and she kind of grabs her camera out of her duffel bag, and she's gonna take a picture. It's like this little square box, and she just.
You have one photograph of whatever the hell that is.
Yep, I do.
That does remind me, I did have the wire recorder, so could I have recorded that seance?
Yeah, we can say that happened.
Well, let's go find ourselves a pirate.
All right, now I want to be respectful of everybody's time. It is almost 11 o'clock in our time zone. Do we want to make it a 2-shot, or do we want to keep pushing through?
I would love to have both of you back to do a 2-shot if you're willing.
Yeah.
I should be willing, yeah.
Because I feel like we definitely have another full episode of content ahead of us.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for watching this evening. We will announce the date of the 2-shot as soon as we figure it out. Thank you, everybody, on the stream as well. Dreamy D&D with me, thank you for joining us. I'm loving these characters. Thank you for wanting to play an occultist. It made my job so much easier. And
Yeah.
I guess we will figure out what exactly is the deal with Chester.